Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is Jay, the Extreme Cluet.
Right hand red, left foot blue. That's what we're doing today, right? the Michael Crichton board game film.
What's that?
Hey, Twister. It's
Oh,
basically
oh,
is Twister a board game? I don't think it's a board
yeah,
game.
yeah.
It's like a mat.
Well, no,
It's a
it's like a
mat
mat.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a game of. It's an interesting game.
I haven't played it in a long time. I don't
I,
know. A child was the last time I played it.
I'm not very limber. I don't even want to try it.
Less and less every day. Yeah. Um,
Jay, we've been talking
what?
about covering Twister. So Jay, all right. Jay has not been on Movies, Films, and Flicks for a very long time because he and
I'm
I have
sorry.
been talking about Deep Blue Sea and Con Air for 4 years, and
Yep.
and now he's back. And if you remember Jay, you probably from some of that DBS episodes I crossed over, but also Jay was one of the first when it was first me, John, and John, and then when we kind of branched out, Jay started joining me. So you go back to like the 100s on this show,
Yeah.
and now you're back.
Yeah. Like Home Alone, I think, was the first time I was on, maybe, or sometime around. There was one before that. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I'm sorry I've not been on. We've been I swear the
We
last
still
time I was
talk every
on,
week.
yeah, true. When we did the Soggy Saga, and we got to the end of the Soggy Saga with Swim Fan and Piranha 3D and stuff. I was like, oh, definitely, we should do Twister. I love Twister. Because I think you said you were trying to do all the Bill Paxton films, but
Mm-hmm.
like not as rigidly as you do with the Kurt Russell films. I was like, well, Twister, please. And then that was like 3 years ago.
Hey, we're doing it.
We're doing it
We're
finally.
here.
I love this film. I've watched
Yeah,
this film like a couple of times before this in preparation to say, "Hey, I'll come on the show," and then the time didn't happen, and now
we're
we're here.
here. Knock on wood
Twisters
in
is
case like the
coming out.
computer blows up or something. We had a lightning storm just a few minutes ago, and I was like, oh no. Like,
A
am I
literal
going to get
twister
hit
is
by
going to
like
show
an
up.
F5 before we do this
Maybe
thing?
the finger of God. Yeah, But yeah, I
Jay,
mean, Twisters is coming out this year, so it
yeah.
feels like if not now, when are we going to do this? If not now.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how hot is Glenny P right now?
Oh, I see. Glenn Powell is. He's up there. I mean, I think he's maybe gone too. He's like too hot. He's like you can't look at him. You can't look straight at him. It'll just kind of burn your retinas out. He's maybe like too charming almost. He's too charismatic.
Yeah.
He's gone beyond the realms of a normal human, like the charming capabilities of regular folk, and he's just like a supernova. I don't know.
Oh,
He's overpowering everything on screen. I mean, the Hitman, whatever it is, isn't out yet, but I mean, I'm
everyone's
not sure
loving
I'm
it.
gonna be able to take it. Like my TV is just gonna melt.
On this film, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt got their retinas burned. That's what happens when you look at Glenn Powell now. And I just want to say, ever since Everybody Wants Some, 2016, I've been like, this guy's a star. He's going to do it. And then he did Set It Up. And then he was on like Top Gun, then Anyone But You, Hitman, Twisters. Like he's worked, he's jobbed. So it's kind of fun to see Glenny P stepping up and burning retinas.
Yeah, I think I first noticed him in Hidden Figures. When he's John Glenn in Hidden Figures.
Oh, he was great.
Which yeah, he's great, but he somehow made me dislike John Glenn. So it's like, I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe the combination of that and then Top Gun. Like when I saw Hidden Figures more recently, I was like, it's that guy. I like him, but I don't like him. I don't know what it is. He's just now it's the too charismatic. It's the too charming. It's the I don't know. You're just too much. You're just too much for me. I can't compete with this. No one can. So get off
And
my
then like
screen.
his parents are hilarious. They're like trolling him. And my wife Megan wants to see him in a rom com with Imogen Poots because she can have
Sure.
charisma with anybody. And so the two of them
Yeah.
together, it would just, it would be like the entertainment from Infinite Jest. Whoa.
Sure.
There we go.
And she has such a fun name. Imogen
She's
Poots.
Imogen Poots is awesome.
Yeah,
Now,
I agree.
getting back to Twister, I have 6 words for you, Jay.
Okay.
The Professor Marvel Incredible Wind Machine.
Professor Marvel, Incredible Wind Machine. What are you talking about?
So in 1996, when I was leaving the theater, I remember just being in the car, 14 years old. And I think for the first time ever, maybe Jurassic Park, but for the first time ever, I was like, that sound knocked my socks off. And that's the first time that I can trace back in my head where I was impressed by sound in a movie theater. And, we didn't have any of that surround sound stuff. And I just remember like it was just so distinct. So the fun part about this episode is I got to research why it sounded so good. And I found out that there was a field recordist named Ken Johnson who built the Professor Marvel Incredible Wind Machine, and he mounted it in the bed of his pickup truck. And he put a sturdy frame. He lined it with foam and carpet so it didn't hit the vibrations. And like he used various sound making wires and other devices could be added to produce different noises as they were pulled together through the air. And then like he brought in wind socks. He brought in other microphones, and then they called it just like a harp. And he said he drove around various locations around the Mojave Desert, and he like recorded different sounds as the breeze made a variety of fishing lines, wires, and other filaments to create exotic wind whirs, jars, bottles, and similar open containers mounted at various heights. So use all these crazy sounds. And then sound designer John Pospisil, he began to process the sounds of various tornadoes featured in the film. So he used like there's various stages. He's like the air grows, nothing moves, and there's a roar, and finally a swirling and a spiraling. And like they like did all this crazy stuff. And then here's what's really cool. We were able to produce edited 6-track masters for the soundtrack. I wanted to provide left to right information as well as back to front so that the sound could be placed anywhere in the auditorium. We were able to recreate a sense of height, that the wind was above the audience by using matrixed effects and digital reverb. And Jan dBont wanted the movie to sound big, and they wanted every tornado to sound differently. So they're like, there's like, they wanted to provide a sense of power. And there's like 3 elements that they use, and like they combine the wind moving very fast and objects and voices, and like the amount of work on the Foley stage, dubbing this movie, because all the actors had jet engines blown on them the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
But the way that they captured the sound for this movie, and as just the creativity, and they didn't even win best sound, I think, for this film, which blows my mind. Independence Day did, which I guess is good. But I mean, the amount of work that they did to make, I could go on and on, but that'd be horrible. But the amount of work that they did to make this movie sound so incredible was fun to read about. And it took a long time, but I had to do it, and I loved it.
I mean, this film inspired a Universal Studios attraction.
Yep.
Because of all the sound and the effects and everything. One of my like defining memories of going on holiday as a kid was like going to Universal and going to the Twister, ride it out. And I think I've been on it like a few times because my dad loved it as well. So we would just go on this thing. It's great. Because this was fun fact, Twister, one of the first films ever to be released on DVD. So like prior to Twister, you didn't have DVD extras. So this ride was like the first DVD extra. Kind of, you can go and see like the making of this ride. You can go and watch the behind the scenes features that you wouldn't normally have at home. And it's you can like stand there and get physically wet and hot from the fire and be scared by a model cow being thrown at you. It's weird. So yeah, I love all of the behind the scenes stuff for Twitter. Like this is the real era of they did all this stuff. This is real practical filmmaking.
Yeah.
There's you got some CGI with the tornadoes in like dotted around here and there, and it works because it's like far away. It's like a distant spinny wind. And like I'm watching it on a standard definition DVD. So I don't know whether it will hold up in Blu-ray. I don't know. Never seen it in Blu-ray. Doesn't matter. It works great. It works great on standard def, and the fact that it is just like formless swirling wrath of wind. You don't need it to have like it looks fine in kind of low res. It looks fine in 1996 effects. So I think the effects look better than this than Independence Day. And Independence Day looks great. Don't get me wrong. But Twister holds up.
It really, and I remember the VHS tape because it had like the THX on it, like the symbol on the VHS tape. So if you bought it, you were getting THX sound on your VHS. Oh, it's so good. And can I tell you something, Jay, that I think is kind of crap about all the all the I've been listening to a lot about Twister to learn about it, and there's a lot of sources that say that Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton hated each other on set and they didn't show up on rides together. But I dug into a lot of interviews, and like Helen Hunt just says nice things about Bill Paxton. She said how much she loved it, and every time they saw each other, he was like, sequel. And yeah, they got their retinas burnt. One day, Bill walked up there. He's like, "Hey, Helen, can you see?" And she's like, no. He's like, okay. So then they had to wear glasses for a week to until the retinas came back. But yeah, they didn't. She never mentions that. And then like they talk about like Helen Hunt hated this movie, and she's like, yeah, I came from Mad About You. Then I went to Oklahoma and Iowa and just got bombed by fans for months at a time in the mud. But she hung out and played cards with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Todd Field and like incredible people. And she said she made
Yeah.
lifelong friends. So yeah, I mean, you're making a movie like this where you're getting hit by jet engines and you're in a ditch in Iowa with rain and debris flying at you. It's
They're,
horrible. You're not going to
they're,
like it.
but they're throwing actual hail at you. They've
Yeah.
got a big block of ice, they're cutting off chunks, and they're throwing it at your face.
Bill
And that's
Paxton got whacked by so much ice on this, but he was like, yeah, I love it, man. Like Jan and I became like we became best buds. And I just, all this information out there, I don't even know where it's coming from. It's like
I
on
don't know.
IMDb, it's on Joe
Yeah.
Blow. But
It
none of
it
it's
feels like
substantiated.
yeah, it feels like people saw the ride because at the ride you have it in a. I watched the video of the ride the other day, just like a nostalgia trip. It's great. They've got like two screens, and Bill Paxton's on one screen, Helen Hunt's on the other screen, and they're not in the same location, but they're kind of talking to each other. Where like Bill Paxton says a little bit, and then he looks over to his left, and then Helen Hunt is already looking at her, looking to her right, and then she turns to the camera and goes, and gives her spiel on it, and it's clear that they were made just weeks apart.
Yeah.
I think it's just an availability issue. Like they had Bill this day because he's wearing a different clothes. What they had Helen Hunt, they may have done her stuff during filmmaking because she's wearing the white tank top that she wears during the anyway.
Yeah.
But like
They didn't
maybe it
fight.
just extrapolated from that. They just it seemed fine. I don't know.
Right. And
But
like every interview, she's like, I love this movie. And she's
yeah,
at Motor City Comic Con, I think it was this past weekend, or it's after when it's before. So when this is released, it already happened, but she hosted a Twister screening at Motor City Comic Con. So, I mean, in all of her interviews, she said she loves this movie, and her and Joy Slotnick are still great friends. And like her and the cast are still good friends. And she said that like Jan, she gave him so much, like all these reports, like she doesn't like Jan dBont, but she's like, yeah, Jan dBont saw me in Mad About You. Like I wasn't in anything yet. And he wanted me for this movie. It was kind of like Rennie wanting all of his cast in Deep Blue Sea, like a bunch of cool
yeah,
actors. And she gave him nothing but props. And she's like, most directors wouldn't have done that. And I guess in Oklahoma, it was the sunniest tornado season ever. So they had to like make up a lot of the shots and they had to go as they went along. And so I just don't like when someone says something, then someone takes it, then another article takes it, then another article takes it, then another article takes it, and no one knows where it goes anymore. So
yeah.
I just want to put that out there. That research bummed me out. I was like, oh no, and then I couldn't find it. And then I read nice things about everybody, where everyone said nice things about each other. So listen, there. I just had to get that out there, Jay, because I dug
I
deep.
agree with everything you just said.
You can tell that I've been waiting years to talk about this.
I'm sorry.
Just I love this movie. I don't care. It's great.
It's a really fun film. It's like I have whenever I talk to anyone about it, they're like, "Yeah, Twister, great film." Like no one
Yeah.
dislikes Twister. It's like when we were finding guests for Deep Blue Sea and Con Air, there were a few people who I approached and like, I didn't really like this film. My 90s jam was Twister. Like I cut more than one person came back with like, if you did a Twister scene by scene, I'd talk about that. I was like, well, I think we at one point did plan to, but there's no sharks in it. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the only thing that I think a catapult could have solved some problems for
could
them.
have caused some probably, but what problems would it have solved?
Well, all right, catapult way down Dorothy and just shoot it into the thing.
Sure, yes, absolutely. Yeah, because their main problem with Dorothy is that it doesn't the little sensors don't get picked up,
Yeah.
which I feel like this is me coming from an engineering perspective. I feel like maybe test it before you make four.
Yeah.
Maybe just
And don't
like,
make
try
square ones.
Right, Jonas is an idiot.
Jonas is a dummy.
Is an utter moron.
Moron.
The fact that he has so much money behind him, financial backing, he's in it for the money, not the science. He hasn't got instincts. Like that money would allow him to have a test area, a lab to simulate some kind of wind funnel and see that these cubes, the least aerodynamic thing you can think of, aren't being picked up. Like he should have that he should have solved that. That should not be a problem for him. Maybe he did. Maybe he did solve it. We didn't get to see his cubes in action.
Yeah, because they're in a trailer.
Yeah, they open up like Wall-E and they have like wings that come out of them or something.
Oh no! If I was funding his operation and I saw those cubes, I'd be like, "Listen, I don't know much about wind or tornadoes, but that's not going to work. I'm not a
Yeah,
doctor. I would put my hands up there and go, not a doctor. You know more than I do, but come on now. Like,
wind
come on.
doesn't care if things stack. That's not
Yeah, he just
like
wanted a pyramid. Idiot. Jonas is dumb.
I would
Oh,
accept pyramid. I'd accept pyramids more than I would cubes. Just like I
oh
feel like
yeah.
you can fit more in a space. Like they kind of jostle more together. Cubes, you push them together, you just get one big cube. It's
And
such
then
a
just
stupid idea.
Pepsi cans fixed, save the day.
Pepsi to the rescue. It's just like World War Z. Pepsi to the rescue.
And
Hell
also
yes.
another reason why I love this movie is I discovered a funny scene when when Bill shows up the first time and he's with poor Jamie Gertz, Dr. Melissa, who's lovely in this movie. I love her so much.
Yes, she is
She's
great. The
just
fact that she's not a victim, she's not a villain, she's just like an outsider.
yep. And that's part of Helen Hunt. So Helen Hunt and a bunch, she said 80 people wrote the script, so she didn't know who did it. But she said that one of the scripts she read, they were really catty towards each other, and she went, no. And then they're like, okay. So then they're not like mean towards each other, but it's obviously uncomfortable. And that's really nice. Like they're not, oh, hey, look at that. But where was I, Jay? What was I? Oh, when they show up, he passes her off to Dusty.
Yep.
And later on, when they're talking,
Dusty?
yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, no, that's Helen Hunt. You have to with Dusty. What's wrong with you?
Oh yeah.
What's the matter with you?
But in the background, when they're walking up, Dusty and Melissa, Dr. Melissa, are just holding hands,
I
walking
saw
towards
this for
Bill
the
and Dr.
first
Joe.
time. I've never noticed that before. It's such a great little moment.
Yeah, and
It's terrible.
Bill is bored. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman was bored in the background. It's like, hey, Jamie, let's hold hands. And then they're just holding hands, strolling along in the background. It's hilarious.
Do you think Dusty is like officially part of the team, or is he just like a tornado groupie who they can't get rid of and is now just kind of there?
What does Dusty do? Because Rabbit has Rabbit has the maps.
Rabbit is good, Rabbit is wise, Rabbit has the maps, yes.
And then Todd Field
like,
does the who's up there with the radar? It's Jeremy
Davies.
Jeremy Davies works on the Doppler.
Yeah. You've got
let's see who else.
Yeah.
What is Preacher?
Alan Ruck's got his little assistant, which is that Joey Slotnick?
Oh wait, Alan Ruck works with the guy who had the peanut butter in his mouth, who is, oh man, I have his name right here. Where is he? Sean Whalen as Sanders. Rabbit and Sanders work together.
Yeah, okay.
And then there's like Jeremy Davies works on Doppler. Wendell Haynes. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Jay. I keep
no. So you've got the guy who gets cut in the head. He's like
Preacher.
Yes, yeah. He is maybe my favorite. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman's the best, and I love Alan Ruck and everything. But I think this guy, I've never really appreciated him before. Scott Thompson plays him as Preacher. He just has a real like professorial look to him, which is kind of the long. He's like an absent-minded professor in some things. It looks like Bill Oddie. If you know who Bill Oddie is, he's like an English comedian who turned into like a bird watcher. He has like a bird watching show, like a nature watching show. It's a real odd career of Bill Oddie. But this guy is like the least aggressive looking guy you'd think of, but he's got a real like adrenaline junkie in his core that when they're chasing a tornado, he's like, yeah! Early on, he's like screaming at it, and then this loose wire goes around, and he grabs the cable, and then he gets cut in the head. But he's a real. I love this guy. I don't know what he does on the team, but he's great.
Yeah, I don't know what he does. I know what. Let's see, Belzer and Haynes, they work on computers and get data. Yes. I don't think Joey Slotnick does anything that we see.
Yeah, I think in the team you've got like the tech guys and you've got like the assistants or the drivers kind of thing. And I feel like that some people have assistants, which they're like, they're just here. They like tornadoes, but they haven't really got a lot to offer, so they're just tagging along. And that's cool with me. And Dusty just kind of showed up one day, kept following them around, kept hanging out with them, and like they became friends, and he's just there. And I don't think he does anything. He's the color, he's the character.
He gives a real high level breakdown of tornadoes to people who need it. The suck zone.
He gives people their nicknames. He's the nickname giver. It's Dusty.
But let me tell you, the way he drives, he has a camper van on the back of his truck, and he's making dang near 90-degree turns onto dirt roads that are the pothole ridden, and he's flying. So you want that guy for any
Yeah,
job.
yeah. I think he may have some real vital stuff in the back of there as part of the crew. I'm sure he does. They're like, hey, Dusty, you come with us to the next place? Do you mind taking this gear? He's got like Dorothy's 2 through 4 in there or something. I don't know. But
And I mean, he might be a professor at Oklahoma,
maybe.
just like a hippie professor. And let's
Yeah,
credit his wardrobe too, because his hat is faded and his jacket is faded. Like the wardrobe in this movie looks lived in and amazing, doesn't it? Like
it does. Yeah.
they put a
This is
lot of work into these cars and characters.
this is such a believable team.
Yes.
Oh, it's you got great character actors in there, but just the dynamic, the conversations, the background conversations, like there's so much chemistry between them all. This is a real. When I look at this, I don't think like, oh hey, there's the director of Tar. I'm like, oh no, that's just a guy. That's just part of the team. He's a guy. Like and it's yeah, this is one of Philip Seymour Hoffman's best roles
Yes.
in a career of nothing but great roles. He just this
Even in
film, like
96, you go, this guy's special.
yeah,
I hadn't seen him in too much more. But we just went through the whole Hunger Games franchise on the Deep Blue Sea podcast,
we did.
and he's very serious in that. So it's fun to see him in this movie just being like, but you know what though? Sometimes when people play those roles, they're not believable. They're too much, and I kind of want to headbutt them. But Dusty PSH is not that guy. Dusty is just unbridled, like and like not. He's just pure passion. And when he's like food and sustenance and
Imminent ruage.
Ruage, and he loves he loves Dr. Melissa. Like he runs
Mm.
after her, and
He loves everyone.
Yeah, it's true. But
But as soon as he finds out like Melissa's part of on their side, she's like he hates Jonas and all of Jonas's men, mainly
mhm.
Jonas. Jonas also has a
Jonas
real fun
sucks.
crew. He's got like Jake Busey on his team.
Right?
And he's got Zach Grenier. He's got Abraham Ruby from ER, another Michael Crichton property.
Nicholas
Like,
Sadler.
yeah, he's got like another fun team. Like, just gets saddled with his utter twat as their leader. Oh, Jonas.
I love that Jake Busey is part of the fancy squad.
Which is such a bizarre. Like, wait, Jake Busey?
You could
What,
tell that these guys had a
the
lot of
least
stuff cut
fancy?
because that's the same year he did Frighteners. I think Frighteners was 96 as well. But I
I
mean,
just saw
listen, this was
Frighteners.
Amblin. This was Spielberg. Jan
Yeah.
dBont was coming off of Speed. This was the dude who shot Die Hard. And I mean, look at the like that's big. So I mean, like, wait, they're making a movie about twisters, produced by Spielberg, directed by Jan dBont and Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. Like that's
Yeah.
and oh man, I gotta tell you,
But that works though, because think of Jurassic Park, also Spielberg, also
yeah,
Crichton. Like the leads that are Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum. None of those at that time were like, yeah, Billboard star. Like
true.
they were character actors. They were side players. Like outside of the Jurassic Park franchise, Sam Neill does weird horror movies. Goldblum's most known for that point for The Fly. So this works. This is the formula that all films should be done. Get rid of your Glenn Powells. Get rid of your leading men. I need your weirdos to be leading your films.
Listen, he started off as a weirdo. Everybody wants
Did you?
him. Glenn,
Yeah, I'm joking. Glenn Powell's great.
you know what I like about him? He's not a pre-packaged. Sometimes when you watch a movie, you know what? This is MFF, so I can drop one F bomb. But there's a line in Everybody Wants Some where this guy goes, "Who's this fuck?" And sometimes when you watch movies, that's what you say. You're like, "Who is this? Like, why am I watching this person?" But
I feel
because they
like
just get they auto like they're like this person's famous now. Watch them, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay. I guess they're the biggest star in the world now, and we should love that." Like, I don't
yeah.
think Leonard P is into that.
I hope he doesn't. I want him to have a better career than Guy Pearce did. Guy Pearce kind of feels like he was a victim of his own looks. Like he looks. He's like think about in Memento. He's like a really sexy alien in Memento. Is Guy Pearce. He just looks like a weirdo, but he's so attractive. He's so hot,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think he ever really like got out of that. He tried, but he never had like the Brad Pitt career. Brad Pitt like embraced his looks. Glenn Powell, I feel like he's embracing his looks. Like he has those cheekbones. He has that perfect face. and wave my hands around far too much for an entire audio medium.
But he can
I
also be
just
punchable and he can be a hero, which is a great
yes,
trait for an actor.
I feel like someone who is that attractive should just kind of embrace it. Like, dude, you can hide it now and then, but for the most part, he's a hot guy. He needs to be a hot guy. I don't know.
That's
I
interesting.
don't know what my point is here. Yeah, like, if he were in, if he were as he is now in 1996, he'd be playing Jonas. He'd
Yeah,
be he'd be the Carrie Elwes who like Carrie Elwes is looks like a villain, but he also looks like a leading man. He's the guy who walked that fine line of, I'll be Wesley, I'll be a Princess Bride, but also I'll be Jonas in Twister. I'll be Dr. Lawrence Gordon in Saw. I'll do anything, but I'll never quite break it out into the A-list. I'll
yeah.
always be at most second tier.
He's like Bruce Campbell, but a higher because Bruce
Hmm.
Campbell never had a Princess Bride.
No, yes, yeah, Evil Dead is not the Princess Bride.
Because that
It's
movie's
great.
gigantic. Like
Yeah, I love Princess Bride.
that's one of those movies. But I
It's
gotta tell you,
perfect.
Jonas is one of the world's biggest wieners I think I've ever seen in cinema because he has no idea what he's doing.
He dies out of spite.
He dies out of spite. He takes a good dude with him, a guy who's like, "Hey, man, should we like help?" Like he takes a good man with him.
Yeah, like he takes a good team. I've got. I don't know. Well, maybe the rest of his team are all douches as well. I don't know, but we know at least Eddie is a nice guy.
Yeah, was a
He gets
nice guy.
impaled, gets taken out by a tree or a pylon or something.
Just a perfect shot too. Like we're talking, the
Jeez.
tornado hates him.
Yeah, I mean, you could say they're vengeful tornadoes, and the tornadoes in here are from Jaws of Revenge. That they're out for Helen Hunt, it seems, and that's how
Well,
she thinks. She thinks that they missed that house, they come straight after you, and that's how she sees it, and they're after her.
it's
She did
funny you
something.
said that because in the Twister commentary, Jan dBont made a joke about how the Twister wants revenge on them for
But
the
what?
Dorothy.
What did they do?
Yeah, so no, they dropped Dorothy into it. And it's like, you figure me out. Ah, it's like they put in like when you like put an undercover agent into the mob
Sure.
and like when they find out they wanna kill the people who put the person in there. Like they want to kill the snitch. And these things look like snitches, by the way. The
Yeah,
Dorothy balls.
it's full of them. That tornado is getting so many points.
Yeah.
150 per snitch.
No, my like it's yeah, I mean it's probably like, damn you, you figured us out. Now you have all this technology and you can figure me out. So then it chases them into the world's worst barn. And then Bill Paxton, he knows what's up. He's like, these go 30 feet into the ground. They tied themselves up and it works because
Yeah,
it's Billy P and Helen H.
I mean, they got to drive through a house first as well. That's always
Yeah,
fun.
we're going
I mean,
through.
house is made of toothpicks.
Yeah,
Uh,
it makes no logical sense in there, but who
Don't worry about
cares?
it.
Yeah, no one like, but there's a scene where Bill Paxton takes a handful of dirt and he lets the wind take it. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, Bill Paxton just knows. Like, I didn't even
Yeah,
look at him as character. That's what Bill Paxton could do. He could
yeah.
understand where the wind takes dirt, where the tornado's going.
I'd love it. Like just having a storm whisperer, like a tornado wrangler, whatever. Just someone who knows what it's thinking. It's great. I don't know if these people exist who can do this kind of thing, or just people that I reckon there's people out there who see this like, yeah, that's gonna be me, and
Yeah.
they're like, and they go to chase tornadoes, and we never hear from them again because it doesn't go well.
Yeah, just plays Highway to the Danger Zone and like you never see him again.
Never hits
They're
the
like,
ground.
did he drive in there in like a Buick? Yeah, no one ever found the Buick. Never, ever. Like there were no lakes around there. Are you saying that it taken him into the sky? They just never found the Buick.
You never found it. I don't know.
Imagine that, Jay. Like you drive into a tornado and no one ever finds the camper that you went in or like the Airstream. I think
I mean,
someone just kept it.
I'm watching Fargo Series 4 at the moment,
Oh,
which I'd never seen before, and there's a Twister episode that I didn't see coming, and that happens. There's characters that I've got one episode left to go, but I don't think we're going to see these people again.
yeah, that was crazy. I loved it. I love Fargo.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, this movie is kind of what a it just works as a summer blockbuster because there's six tornadoes. The six tornadoes all have different personalities. All the setups are fun. I mean, everything defies logic. Like the truck getting spun around as opposed to getting knocked over. And listen, Bill is always right in this movie. Bill's like, take a left, take a right. It's switching. oh wait, he sticks his tongue out and feels the wind. It's coming right towards us. Like it's going right. Like he knows exactly where these tornadoes. Like he's more impressive than the Dorothy balls.
You reckon? So he's gonna be a weatherman. Do you reckon like
He could have
mid?
saved lives.
Well, I mean, he does. Dorothy works. They save lives. We assume. We'll find out in July. Uh, but do you reckon like he'd be mid weather forecast and like a breeze would go past and he just kind of like look into the distance and wait, ignore the board, ignore the board. The wind is going to be hit, and he just like goes completely off script and that would be great. That'd be something to see. Like that would be you'd watch that every day. Like once a month, this guy gets this feeling about the weather,
Whoa.
and he'd be
Like,
great.
Hank, if you're watching this, man, get out of your house.
If you live on this exact postcode, this exact block in Wyoming, like this
Run.
coming for you.
I gave you 15 minutes.
You've got about 26 minutes, 25. The time's ticking. Come on, get out of there.
That'd be funny. He's doing the weather and he just stops.
He draws a line on a map. Like, this is the line the tornado is going to go. It's going to start here, stop here. If you're exactly on this line, run. If you're like within a mile of this line, walk, but
Yeah.
quickly.
Don't rush. Listen, I'm giving you 45 minutes. You don't have to do that thing where all the cars back up and you can't get out. Go orderly and you'll be totally fine. Oh, that'd be amazing. And Steve,
Car share if possible. Let's try and reduce. Like you're gonna want to keep your cars. I get it, but let's get everyone out of there first.
listen, if you're on Wilshire Lane and you run 75 feet to the right and then 50 feet, if you run 75 feet south and then 50 feet east, you're safe.
There's a guy. He stood next to a lamppost on Ringwood Road. Take 3 steps right. Now you're fine.
And a car comes by and just destroys the light post, but misses him.
Yeah.
Wow.
He isn't even warning to the driver of the car. He's warning to the guy that the car would hit.
It's too late for
the
you.
Driver of the driver of the car's not listening to the radio.
There it is.
This guy's got a podcast on.
And he knows if you have a radio near you. He can help. That's why he calls your name.
This is the power that he had, and he gave it up to be a storm chaser. Well, maybe he goes back. Maybe he's like, okay, I've done my like. Because if Dorothy works and they can do this whole prevention scheme, does he go back to being a weatherman? What now? Because they've done it, or does he try and make it even better? They cut it down from 6 minutes to 4.
Probably invents a catapult.
Way, yeah.
To
yeah,
safely
Dorothy.
That'd be amazing. What if I'd be really pissed if a tree flew out and hit the thing midair.
I would be very annoyed. Yes.
Like, what are the odds?
I've got one of these left. Ah. Yeah.
Imagine Dusty on like a big trebuchet, just zapping Dorothy's at tornadoes.
I feel would it have been better if it wasn't a tree that took out Dorothy 3? It was like Jonas's truck. Like his last act was scuppering one of their attempts. Like even more of a twat, a moron. Like, if he'd only listened to them, he would have both survived and the test would have worked. Instead, he ruined both things.
That'd be hilarious.
But I do quite like gets picked up and then just the distant explosion. Like it's not even.
He's dead.
Like, he's dead. Sorry, Eddie. Yeah, Jonas took you out.
Imagine the fear in his life. Like his driver just gets obliterated and he's just in a tornado and then he just gets flung and exploded. What's on your mind at that point, Jay? Because let's say it's a noble death. Like you drive in a tornado and you save the world and you give people all the data they need. And it's like, oh, Jay did his best and he pulled the anti-Godzilla -1 and sacrificed himself. And he didn't really have to do it, but he did it anyway. And the world's saved. Or you're just like, get out of here, Bill Paxton. You don't listen to his advice and you just get leveled. Like, and then you're in the air.
Like an ejector seat in a tornado is not really going to be a lot of help.
You just get picked up.
Yeah, it's just now outside of a car. Great. What goes through you gotta think like, I hope this was worth it. I hope this works. Just a little bit of regret has got to be in there. I wish I could have done this without dying. Oh well.
Maybe I should have jumped out of the car.
Yeah. This could have been. There must have been some way of automating this. Just not. It's just regret. My last one, like, should have done it this way.
Yeah. What if they built like a go-kart that's really weighted down with Dorothy on it, that's really low to the ground?
Yeah. Well,
You
that's
could,
kind of what they sacrificed the truck at the end. Just I do enjoy the gradual progression of the damage to that truck, where like it's a brand new truck, and then he gets a flat tire, and a cracked windscreen, and he gets hit by a tree, and then they just send it into a tornado. Like, this is a symbol of my the old life. I'm giving up. I'm back. I'm back in. I'm back.
uh, do you know why they got that truck?
No.
Jan dBont had done a Dodge commercials. He's like, I like these trucks. And they're like, oh, yeah, you can have some. So we got a bunch of them. So that was it. He just did a Dodge truck commercial before Twister came out. He's like, these are
Yeah.
great. And they gave him a
Uh,
bunch of them.
Is it just that one that's the Dodge? I don't know cars.
Yeah, I mean,
I
the
don't.
one I don't know what the first one is. What is the first truck? There's a lot of Jeep placement. I know that. I'm not sure what the first truck is, but I know the second red one is a Dodge. It almost gets featured as much as that Tundra in Terminator 3. But you know what? All right, there's a couple really simple things too I like about this movie is you have Dr. Melissa. She's the outsider. She comes in and you get the huge exposition done by Dusty. So it's
Yeah.
like you get the outsider, you bring her in. And then you have idiot Jonas. He's motivation to keep Bill there. It's this very ABC screenwriting, which is all
Hmm.
you need for a movie like this. It's like the
Yeah.
plot's really simple. I'm gonna get these divorce papers, but she doesn't want a divorce. And then he has a fiance, but then she doesn't know anything about it. So you have to explain it to her. And then there's a guy who's built square things that he thinks are gonna fly. It's like, oh, I gotta stick around for this. And so and then the aunt gets hit and he has to go save the aunt.
Yes.
And
That's it.
like
You
it's
have the Lois Smith character, and then you have like Helen Hunt's past, like her
yeah,
origin story of that like incredibly effective opening scene. Like
yes.
the most every time we're shouting at her dad, just let go of the door. Like the door's gonna
Go
go. Let go.
downstairs.
Let go. Let go. The dog is in. You holding it is gonna do nothing because you're not holding on to anything else. You're just holding it, and yep, you've gone. Great. I tell
Yeah.
you every time. You never listen to me.
I wonder if in his head he's like, did I just save my family or risk my life?
Did I
So
do anything useful here? I got him into a bunker, but then I should have let go. Yeah, I should have gone back in.
yeah. Hey Twister, can you
Damn.
F5? Can you help me out here? But
Yeah.
it's like screenwriting, really nice screenwriting 101 type stuff where you create it like Helen Hunt's too extreme. Bill Paxton doesn't really want that life. He's more about I think he wants to settle down, but he also likes to chase, but she just wants to like she'll never stop because she has a vendetta against tornadoes. And
She wants
he
to kill them.
he has his doctor and she's great, but she doesn't know anything. And like it's just I think when you have that easy to follow plot, we need to drive a truck into a twister. Okay, we have two trucks. There it is. That truck gets wrecked, so then Bill has to drive around in a truck. Like it's just simple ways to keep him around. And then
Yeah.
it's such an easy plot. Drive this thing into that thing, and we only have so many. And
Yeah.
I just
And the
love,
divorce papers help as well. Like there's an
yeah,
initial need to go there to do this, and it kind of sets up their whole their past, their relationship together. She's not quite over him. He's trying to move on. And that's immediately like dealt with. And we know who these characters are. And we've got such great like supporting character actors that you just meet them and go, okay, you're a bit of a handful. You're just kind of along for the ride. You get it. You get it.
it's
It's great.
really good. My only problem though is when they're like, there's an F1 tornado, and then there's an F2 tornado,
Yes.
and then
I
there's
had
an
the same problem.
F3 tornado, F4. And then of course
Wait,
Jamie Gerst
is
is gonna be
there
like,
is there an F5?
yeah, like, but then everyone goes, huh? Like
Mm.
silence. But that's where they were
The
going.
record scratch.
Yeah. It's like one, two, three, four, and then someone goes five, and then so everyone goes, you're like, wait, what I do?
I have the same problem. I love it.
It's
It's
like
such
everyone
it's
looks
a
shocked
logical
about it.
question. It's a logical question. Only,
Also, I want to
only
say
one of us
this.
has seen an F5. That would be Peter Finger and God.
Like, guys, you just like went there. Like you built the trap, and then she stepped in it, and you all look shocked. So yeah, that's the ones.
Yeah.
Also, Gertz is from like Jamie Gertz is from Oklahoma. I'm not saying all Oklahoma like steaks and mashed potatoes, but when they put mashed potatoes on her plate, she goes, "What?" Like she's like, "What?"
I think it's more the volume, because that is food. I mean, she is clearly a city person. She's a city mouse,
Oh, so she's just
and
like au gratin potatoes.
yeah, or like salad, just like more reasonable portion control. Whereas I look at this and go, yes, this is food. This is what I've always dreamed food to be. I go to America and this is the food you get. This is
Yep.
half a cow and a mountain of mashed potatoes. What are these scones, biscuits? Great, more of these, please. Gravy, yes, a lake of gravy on my food. It's this is one of those dream meals that I don't eat beef anymore, and I feel like I might if I went to Aunt Meg's, I might like take a day off of not eating beef.
Yeah, I don't do beef either. I do chicken and like salmon a lot.
Yeah,
That's my thing. But like
which they're great.
I love the
Uh,
acting too. When she sits down, Jeremy Davies switches plates, but he does it in a
yeah,
very Jeremy Davies way. Like you
right.
get like these guys are on what Preacher. There's a scene where Preacher's on the far right and he's just being squirrely as hell when the scene's going on. And you're like,
Yeah,
yes, like this is why you hire these people.
yeah.
Just
I
I
feel like it's like when they made Little Miss Sunshine. They just sent the whole cast out to be a family together in character for like a week, and then they
mhm.
were just. I feel like this whole team, this whole crew are just in character. They're like method all the time. They're all just on in character for the entire duration of filming.
And Helen Hunt
Yeah,
said they just hung out all the time and played cards and chilled. She's like, can you imagine this? I'm
yes.
just in a trailer playing cards with Philip Seymour Hoffman and like Joey Slotnick and Bill Paxton and Jeremy
That sounds like
Davies.
a just a wonderful time. I would take having ice thrown at me during the day to hang out with those guys in the evening. That sounds great.
The one thing that does not hold up, though, I think, is when that gigantic tanker gets thrown directly at the truck, but it's moving about 6 miles an hour and it knocks him off the tree. That's the
Yeah,
one scene
sure,
where you go,
sure.
well,
Well, I guess throwing at them because the tornado's trying to kill them.
yeah, that's
That's the
true.
vengeful tornado. It's aimed this petrol tanker at them.
It
But
wants
yeah,
revenge.
that's a little bit of like it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Oh, I'm up. Oh, I'm here. I'm stuck. Like, okay, we get it. You had to do this. You had to add some more drama. I don't hate it. I'm fine with it.
But they dropped they actually the first truck explosion, the guy dropped the truck too early, and then they had to come back and drop it again. And Jan dBont didn't tell them that they had to redo it because they never would have paid for it. So it was like, I added another truck explosion. And they're like, oh, great. So then he got another truck to explode, but to make up for the thing that dropped. But it's
Nice.
cool.
I
Like,
like that.
they were talking about this movie, and there's really no blue screen. He talked about how there wasn't any storyboards for this movie because he wanted to kind of figure it out on set. I mean, he's a DP. So I mean, a
Yeah.
DP can say that. I know a couple. I know there were some interactions on set that people weren't really happy with, but I don't want to defend anybody. But you look at The Revenant, you look at Titanic, you look at all these movies that are giant and big. Well, Titanic wasn't shot on location, but you know what I mean. It's like a big, massive abyss that wasn't like just when you make a movie like this out in the middle of Oklahoma and Iowa, and you're bombing jet engines on people. They actually went to a plane graveyard, and the special effects coordinator, he was like, I want really big engines. So they got two giant engines from like a Boeing 707 or something like that. And the guy goes, yeah, Jan will like that. He thinks that sounds good. So they got these giant engines from a plane graveyard and then just shot them at the actors for a long time. Like they had
Nice.
4,000 like gallons of water just shooting on people, actual trucks being dropped. I just thought it was cool. And then he also
Yeah.
said like Hunt said they cast theater actors and there were interesting people who did interesting things. And I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think Helen Hunt was she dating Hank Azaria around about this time? I think because 2 years later when he made Godzilla, he showed up on set and Roland Emmerich was like, I've decided but with his accent, I decided the whole film is going to be it's going to be raining the whole time. And Hank Azaria's like, yeah, great idea. And he goes home to Helen Hunt and is like Roland Emmerich said like it's going to rain the whole time. It's going to look great. And she's like, I've just done Twister. You're in for hell. This is going to be the worst few months of your life. You're going to be wet all day, every day, nothing but wet. This is going to suck.
I don't know why did he have it rain the whole time. I guess it's better for lighting, and you don't have to use as deep a background. But that's a nightmare.
Yeah, they were married for a year. There we go. I just checked. They divorced in 2000, but yeah, they were together when he was making. Yes, good. I was right. Wonderful.
Nailed it, Jay. Nailed
Yeah,
it. Hey, I have a question for you, Jay.
sure.
If you're a member of this crew in the '90s.
Okay,
What's your nickname? What's
sure.
your vehicle? And this is 96. And what song are you driving in to?
Okay. So I was gonna. I did see you post this question in on Facebook,
I
so I
got a
have to
lot of
talk a little
answers.
bit
I got
about
to pull
this.
this up
Yeah.
here.
So, I mean, the only nickname I could think of was the actual one I had at school, which is we're going to get a little bit sad here. My nickname at school was Shamu because I've been a big fat guy, and so my friends would call me after a whale. I didn't
Oh,
appreciate it.
no.
Yeah, that was not something I enjoyed. But that's all I can think of. So, um, I have of all the things I'm not. Car guy is kind of the thing I am most not in all of the world. So I'm a passenger. I'm not in my own car. I don't. I kind cannot pick a '90s car. The only '90s car I know is my mum's old Ford Fiesta, which I don't think is going to be designed for tornado chasing. So I don't know. Whatever someone else has, but with legroom. That's what I require. So I'm just going to catch a ride in someone else's truck.
You can ride
What
with
am I?
me.
There we go. Whatever you're driving, I'll take that. But song wise, I'm listening to Golden Earring sing Radar Love, the greatest driving song in all of
Yeah.
driving songs, I think. Which when that showed up in the soundtrack to Baby Driver, I was like, yes, I'm glad, Edgar Wright, you've got the greatest driving song in this driving film. Perfect. Well done. So that's what I'm belting out.
I love it. And we'll soul swap. My nickname's going to be Scud.
Okay.
I just think the nickname Scud is funny. Like, why?
So
Why
not
is he?
like after the dog in Toy Story.
No,
Just
everyone's like,
because.
why is he called Scud? Like, there's names for the extreme. Like, I don't know. Like, he's not. He's not really a Scud. When you think about Scud, you think about Bill Paxton and Weird Science. Not.
Sure. Yes.
He's not Scud, but you just think of like a real jerk.
Yeah.
But I still like Scud. I would have a 1994 Bronco, so you'd have plenty of leg room.
Okay.
My
I'll take your
roommate
word for
had
it.
one of those, and it was awesome. And then I think I would have Slow Ride by Foghat.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, makes sense.
So we
That's a
have
very
two.
Mark song.
Yeah. So I had that cassette in my truck, Foghat Live, that I bought at a truck stop. I found a what? Not VH, cassette tape stack, and I saw Foghat Love, so I bought it, and it was in my cassette player for many
Nice.
years. And then we got some more answers. We got Aaron, I almost called him Ricky Newirth. Aaron Newirth said Ricky Ticky, and
Ricky
he
Dicky.
said a 1994 Toyota pickup, and he said Scenario by a tribe called Quest. Billy Boyko called Billy the Kid. He has a Camaro Z28, which I would love to see. Like, he'd be zooming around and come out and play by the Offspring. Nicholas Rehack, our buddy, he'd be Kingfish, and he would have a 1992 Toyota high ace double cab fire truck.
He talked about being called Kingfish on your action
Yeah,
movie's name.
and I
Yeah.
was Scud.
Yeah, he's
Oh
just
yeah,
bringing that back. So
actually
good.
that's a action name. You can listen to the MFF podcast and do that.
I
And then
did.
he said "Dancing in the Street" by Grateful Dead from May 8th, 77,
Wait,
1977.
hang on. Nick picked a Grateful Dead song?
Yeah.
Surely not. That doesn't sound like Nick.
Hey, listen, he's anything. He's, you know what though? That feels right.
Yeah, he's a massive Grateful Dead fan. A band I have never listened to. Like not even I not intentionally. I cannot tell you if I've ever listened to one of their songs. If I have, it was unintentional. Nothing
Just,
against them. They just never crossed my path.
it would be by accident if you
Yeah.
heard it. Got it.
I can't tell you what genre of music they are. I don't know. Nick and I have been friends for a decade.
What is it? Like jam band, kind of
I don't know.
funk. They're hard to define.
Couldn't tell you the name of a song, anyone in it, what they sound like at all. It's just, I know they exist as a band. That's all I know.
But like Sting, you just appreciate him, even though you don't listen to him.
That would be true, except for I do listen to Sting.
This is with that Zoolander quote from Owen Wilson
Sure.
that I always use. No one ever gets it, but I use it all the time. What's it?
I'm part of that ones who didn't get it, even though I've seen Zoolander many a time.
Also, for many years, when people ask me how I was doing, I would say, "Oh no," they'll be like, "Mark, what are you thinking about?" I'll go swimming pools. Yeah, and then everyone's like, "What?" Now just walk away.
I get that because you always tell me that. Because we talked about airheads before on this show.
Swimming pools. And then let's see, classic American movies. He would be called Chaplin. He would have a 94 Bronco and T-Rex, 20th Century Boy. Allie Maxwell would have the animal, Allie the Animal Maxwell. Chevy Suburban with the handmade rag top and Highway to Hell, AC/DC. Tom Tresmer of this podcast would be Tommy Tornado. He would have a Humvee and he would listen to Cold Blooded by Kix because he loves
I'm
hair
going to say, if you're a storm chaser and you come up with like, hey, I'm Tommy Tornado, they are going to come up with another nickname for you. Because no, you're not. You can't be called Tornado. You're a Storm Chaser. That's
What
two
about
on the
Tommy
nose.
Twister?
And still, it needs to. I feel like the names we got here. You got Dusty. You got the Extreme. You got Rabbit. None of these are like Tornado based. They're all. I'm not. No, this is no offense to Tommy. This may be the nickname that he wants to have, and it's a great nickname. I just feel like if you are part of a storm chasing crew, they're not going to have one guy on their team whose nickname is Tornado.
No, how about this? There's three groups of storm chasers. There's
Okay.
York, our crew. There's Idiot Jonas, and then there's Tommy
Mhm.
Tornado and his crew. But they've never chased a tornado. They just you like they're always late, or they
Or like,
just their
are they
heart's not in it.
the ones that we see in the weather office? That one of those guys is Tommy Tornado. Like he's not
Yeah,
actually in the field. He's just like, it's a tornado day. It's gonna be a long day, but I'm gonna be so happy because of all the tornadoes. That's when you can have the nickname Tornado, when you're in the weather office and are thrilled when you see tornadoes.
there, and someone yells at him, "You're not out there in the field. You've never seen a tornado. Like, you'll be happy to see them." And then Tommy Tornado's like, "I love it." Tommy
That's
Tornado's
I'm
ever
not in the
defiant.
field. That's where the tornadoes are. I will die. Like, I want to watch. I want to see them. I want to witness them. I want to be part of it, but not the dead part. I fly away in a car. No, I'm gonna. It's safe in a building.
Tommy Tornado gets it.
Yeah.
And then Max says Thunderpaws. He'd be Thunderpaws.
I
A
like it.
Toyota 4Runner and Highway to Hell by AC/DC. And William Underwood would be Joker, which is perfect. A
Mhm.
1986 Bronco, which is great. And one of my favorite all-time songs, CCR's Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure every car you mentioned is the same car. I don't. They all sound the same to me. I
Man,
don't know.
I should have picked a CCR song. Have you ever seen The Rain?
Yes, every day. I live in England.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Uh,
So do you guys like CCR out there?
I have never listened to them again.
Okay.
It's,
Go on like whatever Spotify and put on CCR and just do like this is Creedence Clearwater Revival.
yes, I think. Yeah, I will do that. I will also Aaron's suggestion of a tribe called Quest. I know that they're
Oh,
in Black Panther, but I don't know what song is them. So I need to go and listen to more of that as well. There's like a whole swathe of American music that I just kind of haven't listened to. Uh,
I
like
call Quest is great.
my American music listening to kind of ends with the Eagles, I think. Not
Oh,
because I
okay.
hate them. I really like the Eagles. I don't know. I know that's not a popular opinion to have these days, but I like them. So it's like
Eagles
my
are
dad would listen.
everywhere though. They're one of the highest selling bands of all time. I get it.
I'm okay with that. I like them. But like a conversation Nick and I have had before, he hates them. He's like
Hmm,
the dude. He hates the Eagles, man.
interesting.
We seem to have gotten off topic, and that's okay.
I want to
So
talk.
you said
You know,
that Independence Day won the
yeah,
best sound Oscar. It didn't.
stupid. What did
So there's best sound effects editing and best sound. Uh,
did Twister win?
no, Twister
Oh,
was nominated with Independence Day for best sound. The winner was The English Patient.
oh, that's what it was. That's
A
what it
crime,
was.
a
Yeah.
crime. And neither were nominated for best sound effects editing.
Ugh,
Erase was nominated. My Beloved Daylight was nominated, but The Ghost in the Darkness won.
that's
Another
absurd.
crime. The English Patient shouldn't have won
Yeah, that's what English
anything.
Patient won. That's what it was. Yeah.
Stupid year.
That's mm.
I hate The English Patient.
Like the
It's a
Eagles.
bad.
Like Nick hates the Eagles.
Yes, but The Eagles are great. The English Patient is like really boring and like too long and sucks. And this is the year that Fargo came out, and they give it to the English Patient. Back on Fargo. Like they could have had Jerry Maguire, could have won. That's great. Jerry
Yeah,
Maguire's
but
great.
English Patient in the '90s that was backed by Weinstein, and it's probably the most
It
Oscar
makes
movie ever
sense.
made.
Sure, it makes sense that it won, but it shouldn't have won. It shouldn't make sense because it's a bad film. It's like when freaking Chariots of
Scream should
Fire
have
beat Raiders
won.
of the Lost Ark.
Oof.
Anyway, that's a different thing. That's a whole nother rant.
You know, Helen Hunt got called out for not putting her hair in a ponytail in this movie,
What?
and then she goes, "Listen, I know, but she's like, my hair looked awesome in the movie." And during the commentary, Jan's like, "She looks great," and like, just she has hair all up in her face and looks awesome. But yeah, some
Not
lady
everyone
was like,
likes
"Why
a
don't you have your hair in
ponytail.
a pony?" Like, there's things to complain about in Lost World. It's like, hey, why are you wearing high heels? Like, did you just think to take them off? Like, what's the deal? But a ponytail, that's not something to really nitpick.
Yeah, that's what is that? Like, that's I can't even comment on like that's ridiculous.
So, okay, I
I
know
don't
I
know.
said we would do this, but how would you rank the characters of the side characters of team one? Like,
I
who's
mean,
your,
like
pick,
based
give
on
me your
what?
top three. Give me your top three.
Okay, well, I mean, I gotta have Dusty
And
because like
Preacher?
it's PSH. I'm gonna have Preacher, and I'm gonna have Rabbit. I'm gonna have Alan
Yeah.
Rock. I love Alan Rock. Since Ferris Bueller, he's just been one of those guys where he crops up in a film. I love him in that film. And I'm glad that like Jan de Bont brought him over from Speed, playing like a different character, less irritating in this than he is in Speed, but still a little uptight. Like don't fold them out, roll them out, don't fold them out. Like I just I've got Rabbit style committed to memory. I think. But I mean, they're all great.
Where the cows
Uh,
out front?
did you see my cows? Oh yeah, it's great. Oh.
This okay. If you're teaching screenwriting 101, you have them watch this and go, this is how you give characters personality with 6 lines.
Yeah, yeah. You have them a look. You give them something to do, and you give them just part of a team. Like it's not a problem that we don't know what all of these people do in the team. We just know they're important. We know they're all there. Even if they're not important, they're there. They're part of the team. They're not like, are they getting paid for this? Who knows? Are these all volunteers? I don't know. Doesn't matter. They're not in it for the money. They're in it for the science. So who are
I
your
love
top
this
three?
movie.
What are your, what are
Oh
your...
no, I'm with you. I'm with
Oh,
you
great.
100%
Okay.
because there's that scene where Preacher's jamming out to, oh, man, I had it written down. I have to search my notes, but the song he's listening to just like the classical music, but he's going
Yeah, that's when he's like the real like, caged animal inside him. But then you've got Todd Field, you got Belzer and Haynes singing along to Oklahoma. Okay.
yeah, that's funny.
Okay, L-A-H-O-M. Yeah, that's what I really like is they all have. I think in some films they'll be listening to the same song. They'll be like they're in a convoy and they've got some kind of song playing over all of their radios. Like, but no, these are different people, different personalities. They're in their cars. These Belzer and Haynes are together because they both love musicals. That's great. That's their little thing. Wonderful. Are they a couple? Doesn't matter. Who cares? They're in there singing to Oklahoma. And then you've got
Lovely.
Preacher conducting. Like, no one drives with Preacher because Preacher's a maniac.
Yeah, no one wants to ride. And you know what I'd love to? There's a scene where they make a turn on a dirt road and the camera is attached to the back bumper of a car and you see the tires just zooming into the turn. Like this is a
Yeah.
movie where they rigged cameras on each car. They had the cars on the rigs. Like you can tell that this was shot on location and not on the green screen. And the way, you were just talking about how they went from car to car to car. It's really cool. The rigs, like you go watch behind the scenes of the making of this movie and just watch the rigs that they came up and the way that they rigged cameras on these cars to just make everything interesting and give every car a personality. And you almost feel each road. And like, I just love it. I love the way that they rigged this movie, shot this movie. It's so like hands on and cool. That makes me happy.
Yeah. And when they're doing the Pepsi can savior moment of putting a little I love they've got like a little production line in the back of one of the moving trucks. They're just like I think it's in the
Yeah.
back, it might be in the back of Dusty's like whichever has the most space. They got all the ones who aren't required to be driving right now. They're just making stuff and putting it together. And I loved that. Like, on the fly tinkering, and it's all inspired by Lois Smith's wind sculptures who there's a lot of allusions to the Wizard of Oz here. I love that she's
Oh
Aunt M.
yeah,
She's Auntie
Dorothy.
M. She, Aunt Meg, Aunt M. It's great. That's just one I've never picked up on before. And she has a dog. Dog's not called Toto, but the dog is the best dog in the world. I love that dog. It's like third best. My two dogs come first. But it's yeah, there's two dogs in there. It's great. I love them both.
We
And
just
she's
love this
always
movie.
crushed by the TV. A TV is just like plugged into the wall and it's gonna kill her. And then I just gotta get her out before the TV falls down. Like, little moments like that are great.
Just, and then the house
Uh,
falls. It crashes.
the
Like
house
this is,
just
and
collapses like
they
a house
found
of
an
cards.
abandoned town, and they're like, "Hey guys, let's destroy this, and we'll give you money." And there's just a Twister museum there now. So
Yeah,
it's everything was just. There's so much more to talk about, but I love this movie, Jay, and I'm
me
glad you
too.
joined me to talk about it. I don't know what else we could even. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more to talk about, but it's just I
So
don't know. I
I
got
came up with my dream
yeah,
team
yeah, and
of
also I
movie
love
cap.
Psycho and Shining. Sorry to do this.
Yeah, no,
Jan de Bont
that's
got
fine.
a hold of Kubrick and was like, "Hey man, can I can I show The Shining?" And he had to talk him into it. But I love how the tornado reacts perfectly when the door's getting busted down by Jack. And just it's like perfect time. The tornado has a sense of humor to like explode through the screen at the perfect time.
Yeah,
And it makes me happy.
it's beautiful. See, I came up with my like dream team of
Oh yeah, I got
movie
it.
characters across time who I think would be a great storm chasing team. So I've got like a bunch of roles I think I need to have. You need to have like a couple of adrenaline junkies leading the pack. You need to have like someone on the radio, someone on the maps, a tech guy, like logistics. They haven't got a logistics person here. They need someone who like we're gonna be here. We need to like stay somewhere and get food. So they haven't got a logistics person. And need like a couple of assistants and then just some generic drivers. So my drivers, I've got Statham as the transporter. Frank
Oh,
Martin. He's just like there's not he's gonna drive anything. And then Sway, Angelina Jolie from Gone in 60 Seconds, and my two drivers, just because they kind of have that adrenaline junkie vibe. You need risk takers with your drivers in this film.
oh, I love that.
Logistics, I've got Jennifer Lopez from The Wedding Planner, because I feel like she'd be okay, she'd be good at that kind of thing. Maybe not the ideal scenario for her to be in, but maybe I feel like this is they take a Jamie Gertz kind of character and they convince her to stay, and then she's just kind of. I think it'd be a fun dynamic to have, especially if you
Yeah.
pair her up with DJ Qualls from The Core as their tech guy. I thought that'd be a fun
Whoa.
dynamic. Is DJ Qualls and J Lo, the two of them together. On maps, we have Russell from Up because he's got that little map finder gizmo thing. You know, the little kid from Up. I don't know. He grows up to be a storm chaser. We've got to have someone from Deep Blue Sea. So Brenda from Deep Blue Sea is our radio lady. Ida Turturro, got to have her in there.
Oh my gosh.
Assistants, I think Roman, Tyrese, would be a fun assistant. Like he wants to be a storm chaser, but he's just kind of he's always it's like he's like been ordered around by everybody else. And I didn't come up with the second one, but I think I want to have a newbie like Andrew Barth Feldman from No Hard Feelings. I feel like would be like he's great in No Hard Feelings. The main guy from
Yeah,
No Hard
yeah.
Feelings.
I want to see
He'd be a
Jennifer
great
Lawrence
like
in it now.
that would work. But he'd be a great like as a rookie. He's like the newcomer to the team, and that's how introduced to the team is through him. And then Adrenaline Junkies, I want Ben Mendelsohn from Vertical Limit as like one
Whoa.
of the Beach Brothers, and Amy Smart from Rat Race as Tracy Fawcett, the helicopter pilot, because she goes manic in that to try and kill Dean Cain in a swimming pool with a helicopter. So that's my two Adrenaline Junkie romance at the lead, Amy Smart and Ben Mendelsohn. Is
Oh
my
my
like
gosh.
dream team of movie characters in Twister.
That's a great cast.
I think it would work. Maybe not. I don't think they're all like the same age as each other in different films, but that doesn't matter. It's fine.
I mean, you could take a time machine and do it.
Yeah, I want like Billy Magnuson would be a good villain with like Michael
Oh,
Shannon. Michael Shannon is like a wealthy benefactor for him.
whoa.
I think.
I
I want
love
Billy
that.
Magnuson to like. He's great. He's always great in stuff, but he's always great in like not great stuff. I think it's some things he's not. He needs to make better choices. I guess he's great in Game Night. So stupid.
I saw him at a pizza place one time. I was like, hey, that's him. I
Oh,
didn't say anything.
nice.
Just wanted you to know that.
Yeah, and like my backup for tech guy would be, do you know James Acaster? You familiar with him at all?
Mm-mm.
He's an English comedian. He was in Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. I haven't seen it yet, but he's like one of the new additions to that, and he would be a really great tech guy getting flustered with things.
Ooh.
He's a yeah. Anyway,
You want to know what my picks?
please, yes,
Okay. I want Sarah from Operation Fortune because I want Aubrey Plaza in there because I
sure,
just
go for it.
like Aubrey Plaza. I want Sung Kang as Han from Tokyo Drift. We need a
Yep,
driver. I want Boyd Crowder. This is cheap cheating from Justified because I just love Walton Goggins.
that's fine.
And then I want this is really random, but I wanted another Justified guy, so I got Mai and Thomas from Live Free or Die Hard because you know how much I love. I'm a big fan of Maggie Q. I'm always talking about the
Yeah,
protege and Thomas,
she's
so they
great.
could work together and be in a car. And he's a good hacker. Like you need
Mhm.
computer skills. And then this is insane, but I want Cliff, played by Lachlan Monroe from Dead Man on Campus, to be like the maniac of the squad because he's
Sure.
just a maniac, and I love his line. I got some beers, man. We should drink them.
I think you say I want Cliff, John Ratzenberger. I want him to be in the
Oh,
team somewhere. Like,
yeah,
in
drinking
what
somewhere at a
role?
bar.
Yeah,
But definitely Cliff. I want Cliff from Dead Man on Campus, and then I want Cherry Darlin from Baby Driver, Asa
yes,
Gonzalez to drive around in BP. Oh, she'd be good in ambulance too. But no,
yeah.
we need a driver, and she's crazy. She robs banks, so she would happily chase tornadoes. So I put together a group of people who have put themselves in danger and could go to
Isn't
Twisters.
isn't Cherry Darling? the character from Grindhouse.
Wait, oh yeah,
What am
that
I
is.
thinking?
What's her name?
That's
Oh, she'd be great
that's
too. She has one leg.
yeah. That's what I thought you were saying, Rose McGowan. But what is her name
No,
in
It's
Baby Driver?
Oh crap! It's Darling, not Cherry Darling.
Okay, well,
Close
oh,
enough.
yeah, they're all like Darling and Buddy and Baby and Doc,
Yeah,
aren't they?
that's
All, yeah,
true. But I just think
yeah.
she's cool in that movie, and she's nice to the driver.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
and then I mean, they already have good. I just imagine a good Boyd Crowder and Timothy Oliphant, but Timothy Oliphant from Live Free or Die Hard.
Yeah, he's funny. He's also fun in Fargo season 4.
Oh yeah, he's great. I love your
I,
team, man.
I want Jessie Buckley in it somewhere. She
From
needs
Wild Rose.
from anything, like from Fargo. I don't know. From anything.
Oh
Uh,
man, her character, she'd be poisoning everybody.
yeah, she's. I love her and everything. She's so watchable. She's like she's never done anything bad, but she needs to. I want her to do something less drama. Everything she does is like very capital A actory, which
Yeah,
I respect that, but I want to see how she does in like a big blockbuster, what she can bring to that. Which
like
I
Twisters.
respect if she doesn't want to do that kind of thing, that's fine because they're like less fun to make sometimes. They're more technical. But I just want to see what she does. And did you see Freelance from earlier this year with John Cena and
I
Alison
didn't
Brie?
watch it. No.
No, it's not good. But there's a actor called Juan Pablo Raba in that, who is like the third guy in it, and he's great in that film. I want him to. I'm sure he's done other things, but that's all I've seen him in. He is like a director, not sorry, like a dictator of some South American country, but he is so fun. You think you're gonna when you first meet him, like this guy's gonna die in a minute, but he's in the film a lot, and he's the best part of that film. And is he good enough to watch it? I don't know, but he's really good in it. So I want him to crop up somewhere.
It's funny you say that because that's the one person that Megan said she liked in that movie. She's like,
Like
that guy's really
me too.
fun. And she
Yeah,
looked him up too. I remember on the plane, she looked him up. Like, who's this guy? I like him. I love when that happens in a movie and you're like, I like this person.
yeah.
And going back to
This
Jessie
is
Buckley, she did a run of movies where she was just really acting.
hmm,
And I was kind of like, go back to Wild Rose. Do Wild Rose too. We're not telling you
yeah.
what to do, Jesse, because you have
Well,
two
there's
Oscar
something
nominations
like
and
that.
you're going to
Yeah,
win
because like
multiple times.
The Lost Daughter, Women Talking, these are all very serious, uh, uh, actorly films. But then she did Men, and like she's like, I liked Men a
I
lot.
love men.
I like it a lot more than some people seem to. But she's still like not a fun role for her. That's a very
At least she wasn't
intense
Rory.
very much so. I remember that was just on TV and we started watching it halfway through. I'd already seen it, and my wife was like, "Little boy looks weird." Like, yes, he does, doesn't he? Wait, and now there's another character. You see how they have the same face? But yeah, that's gonna keep happening. We shouldn't watch this film because you will have nightmares.
I just kept laughing during that movie.
I love the tunnel scene when she's echoing in the tunnel.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, it's Garland.
I had, yeah, I had a debate with someone who thought that was terrible because that's not how tunnels work. It's like
Oh,
that's why she's staying because it's fun. It's like she's doing something and it's like coming back in a weird way. So she's like experimenting with it, having fun. And they're like, but that's not how tunnels work. It's like, well, go
yeah,
away.
but that's how
What are
tunnels
you
work in
talking-
that world, though.
Right.
Like, this is not our world. We're not in our world when we're watching that. We're
You know how
in their
every
world.
man you meet doesn't have the same face?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've sometimes I have trouble with that when people are like, that's not how it works. I'm like, yeah, it works in that world.
Yes. Yes, yes.
But listen, at the end of the day, Jan dBont had this to say about Twister. There's a comedy portion and a love story in Twister. And like Speed, there's a happy ending to it all. So the audience will walk away going, unbelievable. That was great. So that's his quote,
Nice.
which everyone did.
Yeah, yeah. My main quote that I say from this film: debris. Uh,
That's no plane.
debris.
Oh, the extreme. I love that.
Great
Oh,
delivery.
you know what also is nice? Like, I don't think this movie's really mean towards the Midwest. It's
Yeah.
the people are treated well out there, which I like. I don't know. It just makes me happy that a lot of people aren't like, I just, it's rare. I feel like movies in the Midwest are like, oh, look at these people, but like the intelligent people are maniacs in this. Like, there's no. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's just a good movie. Like, the characters are not caricatures, and that's nice. I mean, Bill Paxton, he walks out like he lives in Oklahoma. Yeah, that makes sense. He comes from there. So
It all makes sense apart
well, hey,
from the F5 discussion. As we
where
talked about.
where can people find you, Jay?
They can find me right alongside you over on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, talking about films that are similar to Deep Blue Sea. When is this coming out, Mark? When is this dropping?
I don't know. Before the
When is
movie
this
comes out.
dropping from the sky like a tractor picked up by a tornado? So yeah, Deep Blue
Well,
Sea,
when
the
does Twisters come
podcast.
out?
Twisters comes out end of July, I think.
Let me see.
Because that's when I'm on air
July
and
19. It'll come out before. This will
okay.
drop before that. This will maybe like a week or two before then.
Great. So around about when this comes out, we'll be celebrating the 25th anniversary of Deep Blue Sea over on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. So you can hear us talk about why we still love Deep Blue Sea 25 years later, even though we've done at least 35 podcast episodes dedicated to just that one film, and then 10 to Deep Blue Sea 2 and 11 to Deep Blue Sea 3 and a bunch more to other films similar to Deep Blue Sea in some way. We love talking about them. You can find me on Con Air, the podcast, but that's not going anymore. Deep Blue Sea, the podcast is where it's at because that's where all the fun is. That's where the sharks are. So yeah, we've done all the Hunger Games films, the Jurassic Park films, most of Rennie Harlan's films at this point.
We got a fun series coming up. Another series.
Fun series coming up. Yeah, I've got a bunch of fun series coming up. Yeah.
I was at a screening for Mad Max Furiosa or Furiosa Mad Max Saga, and I met a cool movie critic, Trace, and I started telling him about Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, and explaining it to him, and he had a good laugh. I'm like, yeah, we just talk about franchises, but only the water scenes. And he was just like, people like that idea. That always makes them laugh.
I like it. I remember when we had Nick DeSemon on, and he posted on his Twitter like, "Hey, I was on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast," and then Chris Hewitt, the host of Empire Magazine, was like, "Wait, what? The podcast?" Yeah, Deep Blue Sea. Come on, talk about it.
Oh man. Wait, what? Well, Jay, thank you for joining me.
Hey, thank you for finally allowing me to keep postponing this for like 3 years, and we finally did it. Mark, we recorded it. We've done Twister. What should we keep putting off next?
I want to make sure I recorded it so we don't have to do it again. Yeah, I recorded it. Okay. No, wait, what are we gonna do next? What have we been talking about for a long time? You love some movies that I love that aren't really Deep Blue Sea adjacent.
Yeah. I can't remember what they are. I don't. That's not the list I keep. I keep the list of ones that are Deep Blue Sea adjacent.
Maybe I can look at one of your best of lists and then pull something from that, because we've got to get you back on here, man. I love these conversations.
I'd love to come back on.
These conversations have a different flow than the Deep Blue Sea ones.
They do. Yeah, because I come far less prepared.
So these are more fast and loose.
Yeah, I really enjoy them.
Hey, Freewheelin' Jay on MFF. I like it. All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Jay Cluitt, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.